February 12, 2026. A fresh judicial blaze erupted this morning as Meghan Markle lodged an official petition, seeking total title to Renbrook Hill, a 72-acre property in the Cotswolds initially set aside for Prince Harry by the late Queen Elizabeth II before 2021. Royal Council characterized the action as a hostile bid to leverage heritage, arriving only 72 hours following the palace's broad proclamation removing the Sussexes from every lingering imperial perk, statutory distinction, and guardianship authority. The papers hit the docket precisely at 9:14 a.m. GMT via Meghan's representative, high-profile lawyer Cher Tilden, and are now registered with both the United Kingdom Crown Estate Commission and the Superior Court of California, utilizing the statutes of the Windsor, California Reciprocity Agreement. The complaint asserts that although Renbrook Hill remains under Crown Trust technically, it was verbally pledged as a matrimonial home and eventual birthright for Prince Harry and his immediate lineage by the deceased Queen Elizabeth II. My client plans to pursue her legal and fair claim to the property identified as Renbrook Hill. Tilden's press release noted, this was vowed as a generational gift, not a tool for retribution during separation litigation. This newest twist risks tearing open scars not only inside the broken Windsor Sussex dynamic, but across the monarchy's broader organizational framework. Renbrook Hill isn't merely land, it is a find. Historic holding formerly attached to the Highgrove grounds, boasting a Grade II listed Georgian mansion, a Crown-financed horse facility, and several grape-growing plots. An appraisal in 2025 estimated its value at $19.6 to $6 million, ranking it among the most desired unallocated imperial sites beyond Balmoral and Sandringham. Fewer than 3 hours following the release of Meghan's petition, the palace put out an uncommon noon announcement through the Royal Legal Secretary's Bureau, flatly denying her assertions. No official or casual pledge existed to convey Renbrook Hill or any portion of it to the Duchess of Sussex. The land stays under the management of the Royal Estates Office as a Class A Crown Trust holding, governed by monarchical decree. Sir Eric Mansfield, legal counsel to the Crown, expounded, noting that any spoken promises made prior to 2021 were voided by the pair's exit from imperial service in January 2020 and specifically terminated by the updated Sovereign Property Charter, ratified in March 2023. Privately, palace staff interpreted the action as a calculated instigation meant to restart talks regarding guardianship, funding, and trademark privileges, a tactic they suspect might recoil disastrously. Various judicial observers opine that Meghan's play isn't chiefly regarding the acreage, but instead a strategic ploy to undermine the royal custody ruling finalized only days ago. By claiming asset entitlements connected to Harry, Meghan could be trying to establish herself as a joint heir to dynasty holdings, thereby contesting the systematic guardianship powers granted to Princess Anne, Prince William, and Princess Catherine per the Guardianship Protocol of 2026. In court papers acquired by the Times London Sentinel *, Meghan's squad included subtle allusions to asset-based suitability for custody, implying that her capacity to supply a royalty-grade home could supersede the existing care agreement if American tribunals evaluate it separately from Crown edicts. The royal household considers this reasoning exceptionally perilous. She isn't requesting a house, one palace source commented. She is attempting to reinsert herself into the monarchy's machinery via a loophole. Yet, palace wasn't the sole body to react. Mere hours after Meghan lodged her papers, the Family Division of the California Superior Court released an initial authority decision declaring that Meghan's bid to prove imperial estate ownership would remain inadmissible in child guardianship cases unless officially acknowledged by both the United Kingdom Privy Council and His Majesty's Diplomatic Property Register. Dr. Henrietta Accums, a legal academic who specializes in cross-border domestic conflicts, observed, "The California bench is indicating that assertions of royal assets do not inherently translate to parenting fitness. This weakens any story where Meghan leverages the manor to seem systematically legitimized." Initially, a component of the Highgrove West District, Renbrook Hill, was allocated by Queen Elizabeth in a 2020 private memorandum of intent, kept in standby for future dynasty arrangements with Prince Henry Charles Albert David, named as the provisional custodian. Yet, the official stewardship was never executed because of the pair's exit in January 2020. Since that time, the grounds have stayed in dormant trust beneath the Duchy of Cornwall, utilized sporadically by high-ranking royals throughout the hunting period. In October 2025, Princess Anne allegedly proposed transferring Renbrook Hill to Lady Louise Windsor under the Sovereign Youth Development Charter, though no formal. The staffing shakeup was set in stone the moment Meghan submitted her paperwork. In a truly historic move, Lady Sarah Cotto, Duchess Sophie, and Viscount Severn released an incredibly scarce statement straight from Sandringham. What started out as a simple bid for independence has morphed into a relentless crusade to provoke the institution. The Sussex name isn't standing for individual liberty anymore. It's been turned into ammunition, with the kids as collateral damage. Palace insiders verify that an additional legal order is currently being drawn up to strip Meghan Markle of the right to use the Windsor title in any court filings, real estate disputes, or press spots, unless the Crown signs off in writing. This signals the start of what sources are dubbing the post-Sussex purge, a total lockout of Meghan Markle legally, financially, and socially from every last system tied to the monarchy. If Meghan's petition on February 12th to seize Renbrook Hill was intended to kickstart bargaining, that entryway has been slammed, locked, and welded shut. Less than 24 hours after she made her play, the palace didn't just deny her property rights. They launched a complete audit of every single asset shared or funded in part while the Sussexes were wed, triggering specific sections of the royal matrimonial contract from 2020. Everyone thought it was just for show, but it's now the spine of Harry's legal counterattack. Palace Bean counters, working under Princess Anne's Office for Sovereign Integrity, dropped a detailed list of their holdings. First, the Montecito mansion valued at $14.2 million. Tyler Perry's crash pad from 2020, leased through Archewell. For cars, 2 Rolls-Royce Cullinans rented by Archewell, plus a Range Rover autobiography gifted by Charles in 2019. Liquid assets sit at roughly $4.7 million in cash and safe investments. Shared stocks include Archewell Media Equity, with 33% in Meghan's name, and Archewell Audio at 16% following the Spotify split. Corporate debt is sitting at over $2.3 million, mostly tied to Meghan's clothing, PR stunts, and trips to Dubai between 2023 and 2025. Meghan's attorneys pushed for a 50-50 division of every asset gained in the U.S., leaning on California's community property statutes. But the palace clapped back hard, claiming that many of those items were crown gifts or trust fund payouts linked to Harry's title. She can't hate the institution, but keep the perks. Sir Alaric Mansfield put it bluntly. The monarchy isn't some ATM, dispensing cash for ex-duchesses. In another motion filed with the California family courts, Meghan asked for monthly spousal support, totaling $215,000 for 5 years, blaming her stalled career and damaged image on the royal machine. However, Harry's counsel, headed by Miles Armitage, fired back with a brutal collection of evidence. Inside was a waiver Meghan inked in July 2020, giving up any right to royal money so she could build her own brand. They also showed proof of hidden earnings from her 2023 speaking gig in Dubai and private sponsorships worth around $6.1 million. In an added note, Armitage stated, "You can't play the victim while cashing in on the fame. Alimony is for those who take care of the home, not business moguls in stilettos." During the same legal proceedings, Meghan moved to lower the child support Harry proposed, turning down his offer of $68,000 a month to cover Archie and Lilibet's school, health, and daily costs. Instead, she asked for just $22,000 a month, but demanded receipts for every single dime spent. She wants zero funds for after-school activities unless she approves them, and they aren't Windsor branded. She also wants total control of kids' online likenesses, covering everything from Instagram to future book deals. That final demand ignited a firestorm of anger, particularly inside the Royal Child Welfare Committee. The palace hit back with a fresh rule. Starting right now, no one makes money off Archie and Lilibet's names or faces without permission from both the Crown and Prince Harry. Making things worse, palace lawyers found a secret file called Project Emancipation, a pitch deck from May 2025. In it, her team mapped out how to cash in on her life as a former royal and modern mom in the wellness space, intentionally leaving the kids out of the brand's visuals. This paperwork totally undermines her current argument that she gave up her personal business to raise a family. The public backlash was instant and divided. A Daily Mirror Snap poll on February 14th showed 74% of Brits were against her property grab. 61% of Americans thought she shouldn't get a dime of alimony. 82% backed Harry keeping main custody with palace oversight. In less than 48 hours, Vogue Arabia scrapped their mother mogul monarch cover story. Chanel quietly took back Meghan's invitation to Paris Fashion Week, and Netflix execs paused every Sussex project currently in the pipeline, mentioning shaky contracts and the risk to their reputation. Then the knockout punch landed. In a quiet yet commanding address, Princess Catherine declared, "Kids aren't marketing gimmicks. They aren't tickets to influence. They merit solitude, safety, and tranquility." She didn't point fingers, yet the target was obvious to all. The legal feud involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle had breached a new boundary, moving into the realm of character assassination. Lacking palace support and confronting economic adjustments, plus having her asset demands flatly rejected, Meghan initiated what sources term her last-ditch effort, a smear campaign aimed at wrecking Harry's standing as a father. Filing unexpectedly in Santa Barbara's family court, her lawyers handed over a confidential statement alleging Harry displayed a history of mood swings, reliance on booze, and controlling conduct throughout their union. The 32-page file, seen initially by the Daily Record, contains a mental health evaluation from February 2021, supposedly flagging unaddressed PTSD and lingering rage issues. It also lists 2 crisis counseling recaps from 2022, said to be sparked by yelling matches that the help overheard, plus a claim from an anonymous guard stating that in May 2023, Harry supposedly smashed a cell phone into a wall amidst a fight about moving Archie to a new school. Although these papers haven't been confirmed by outside parties, Meghan's camp asked for Harry's parenting rights to be paused right away until a judge-selected shrink finishes a fresh review. The monarchy pushed back hard via their legal department, pointing out that the prince had finished a 12-week treatment course in the middle of 2021 at the Royal Veterans Mental Wellness Clinic, cleared every family therapy check tied to the 2024 Royal Reconciliation Framework managed by Princess Anne, and kept a spotless log of monitored parenting since December 2025. Harry's lawyer, Miles Armitage, described the new motion as panic turned into a weapon, disguised as care, noting, "The monarchy doesn't hand out guardianship on a whim. These aren't feelings-based approvals. They are lawful statuses based on actions, steadiness, and reliability." To strengthen their position, Harry's side submitted a rebuttal featuring voice recordings from 3 social workers who monitored his video calls with the kids between November 2025 and January 2026. Every single one vouched for his constructive interaction, sensitivity, and readiness to leave choices to expert advice. At the same time, Meghan lodged a plea for a location review with the Court of International Family Law Cooperation, claiming that palace rules can't override a birth mom's rights under American federal statutes. Her squad referenced stateside cases favoring mothers and young child custody decisions, arguing that overseas titles hold no weight in California family courts, and highlighting the supposed pressure of hereditary systems in forcing unjust verdicts. In a heated remark to the faced media, Meghan's attorney, Cher Tilden, announced, "This isn't regarding titles. It's about a mom shielding her kids from being erased by a system and mentally toyed with." Yet, this tactic was swiftly countered. The palace fired back by publishing a signed 2020 Sussex marital agreement where the couple consented to Crown supervision if they moved abroad or split up. This paper was originally written by the late Queen's attorney and countersigned by the Foreign Office's family liaison team. Experts noted that while rare, this contract held water under shared sovereignty pacts, linking Britain and America, particularly the 2017 Royal Heirs Treaty affirmed after the split. The hit to Meghan's reputation was now quantifiable. A YouGov poll showed just 21% of Brits thought she deserved shared access. 57% of American women aged 25 to 44 agreed that she is exploiting the kids to strike back at the Crown. 41% of Canadians expressed letdown over her bid to bypass cross-border deals using press leverage. Meanwhile, Prince William, who kept quiet through most of the drama, quietly stopped by the Royal Pediatric Trust in Windsor to speak with counselors, teachers, and bodyguards watching over Archie and Lilibet. A staffer slipped his casual comment to the Times, "We don't need front pages. We need calm, and we'll provide that, even if she refuses." In a secret note leaked to The Observer, Meghan's ultimate terms were exposed. 50% of Archewell's remaining assets, covering pending earnings related to production between 2021 and 2025, plus total ownership of every shared image right intended for the kids. She also wanted a one-time property transfer matching the market value of Renbrook Hill, 196. On top of that, she demanded an apology and admission from the palace regarding emotional neglect during her time as a royal. All 4 ultimatums were rejected outright. The British monarchy, usually known for being slow and calculated, reacted with shocking speed. The tipping point wasn't just Meghan Markle's court accusations or her play for Renbrook Hill. It was something much more explosive. Her threat to weaponize digital identities, specifically targeting the children's likeness rights and publicly claiming she owned their joint brand assets. The royal household, shifting into crisis containment mode, launched what insiders dubbed the Windsor Firewall, a synchronized mission to lock down the digital, financial, and symbolic footprints of Meghan Markle across every system linked to the Crown. The goal? Neutralize her, clout, safeguard the heirs, and take back institutional control. At exactly 6:30 a.m. A.M.T., the Royal Office of Digital Ethics, working with the Privy Council's communications wing, sent a classified order to over 22 media partners, including YouTube, Instagram, Meta, Spotify, and Netflix. They demanded the deletion or reclassification of all Sussex-branded content stored in Crown-affiliated archives, an immediate separation of the Windsor children's names and faces from any unauthorized digital use, and a freeze on the algorithmic boosting of Archewell-linked legacy content still showing up under royal tags like #RoyalChildren, #Duke and Duchess, and #SussexHeirs. For legal backing, they cited Article 9 of the Sovereign Identity Preservation Act, passed in 2023 after the Queen's death, which gives the Crown emergency power to shield minor heirs from non-consensual commercial exposure. By noon, more than 380 pieces of content had been flagged, tagged, or demonetized across streaming and social platforms. Public-facing Sussex material that once ruled royal search results started silently disappearing. At the same time, the UK Charities Commission, acting in concert with the Royal Financial Integrity Council, announced the start of formal dissolution proceedings against the Archewell Foundation. They cited a failure to comply with bilateral financial disclosure protocols under the Royal Charity Ethics Compact of 2021, suspected misclassification of foreign income tied to Meghan's Dubai wellness tour, and irregularities in staff payouts between 2022 and 2024. The Archewell brand, once the Sussex's flagship post-royal venture, was now facing a multi-jurisdictional audit and a freeze on leftover assets across 2 trust funds. As part of the Royal Firewall Protocol, Meghan's email logins, server access history, and trademark filings were handed over to the Crown's Digital Accountability Tribunal, led by Lord Julian Ashcroft. Perhaps the most symbolic and emotionally charged battle happened when Meghan filed a digital ownership motion demanding sole control of the joint Instagram handle @ArchieLilibet, which she claimed she started as a mother's project for narrative balance. Harry's legal team fired back with a single line: "This is not a brand. These are children." The Royal Communications Office, coordinating with Meta's global legal team, suspended the account indefinitely, pointing to conflicting claims and active disputes involving minors and sovereign classification. While the press swarmed around court filings and platform bans, a quieter but deeply significant development was unfolding at Windsor. Lady Louise Windsor, age 22, had been quietly promoted by Princess Anne to serve as the royal youth liaison to the Sussex heirs. Louise, who had built a quiet bond with Lilibet during summer visits to Balmoral in 2023 and 2024, was given private access to the secure educational compound where the children were now staying. Her orders were clear: ensure non-ideological exposure to royal traditions, maintain emotional stability during transitions, and shield the children from digital contamination or narrative manipulation. She is not there to raise them, one courtier clarified. She's there to anchor them, to make sure they aren't adrift in the shadow of conflict. Louise was seen arriving at the Royal Learning Centre in Sandringham, carrying books, child therapy kits, and a copy of The Little Prince, reportedly Lilibet's favorite story. Meanwhile, Princess Catherine made a subtle but unmistakable public gesture. During a visit to the Royal Digital Ethics Institute, she delivered a short keynote address on protecting childhood in the age of exploitation. Though her words were framed generally, the implications were undeniable. We live in an era where a child's likeness can become currency. That is not parenting. That is projection. And projection is not love. The audience, a mix of cybersecurity experts and youth welfare leaders, gave a rare standing applause. Later that afternoon, Kensington Palace shared a snapshot. Catherine alongside George, Charlotte, and Louise, reading beneath a tree, no logos, no staging, just quiet dignity. The caption was short: "Let kids be kids." That evening, Meghan's team blasted a voice recording to various media outlets. Her message? If they try to wipe me out, I'm blowing the lid off. I've got emails, tapes, names. Don't force me out of my own kid's narrative. Yet, the fallout was irreversible. Spotify scrubbed every Sussex-related podcast. The Netflix deal was officially killed. Meghan's planned cover for Times L. International Times got swapped for Princess Anne, the new icon of quiet competence. Two separate legal venues, the High Court's Family Division in London and the Superior Court in Santa Barbara, began proceedings behind closed doors to formally debate custody arrangements for Archie, Harrison, and Lilibet Diana. Nothing from those 72 hours hit the airwaves, but the impact was undeniable. Justice Rowena Blackstone presided in London, famous for her strict adherence to constitutional precedent. Over in California, Judge Everett Miles took the lead, a seasoned expert in high-stakes interstate custody battles. While briefed independently, both courts operated under a shared international treaty, the Windsor, California Reciprocal Protection Accord of 2024, an obscure yet potent legal mechanism allowing joint authority over dual-citizen royal minors. The docket included key issues: the validity of the 2020 Sussex marital compact, giving the Crown emergency guardianship if the marriage failed; Meghan's motion to void the agreement, claiming she was coerced, lacked information, and faced psychological duress; and Harry's petition to enforce full guardianship transfer to the royals, per the Royal Minor Protections Act of 2025. Sources say 4 key witnesses provided confidential testimony. Lady Geneva Hartley, a monitor for royal child welfare, noted Meghan actively ignored child welfare visits starting late 2025. Child psychologist Dr. Angela DeLay flagged emotional distress and behavioral confusion in Lilibet during January's supervised sessions. Caleb Wren, previously an operations officer at Archewell, verified that Meghan actively blocked Harry's input on the kids' education and media exposure. Lady Louise Windsor, serving as the children's liaison, presented a journal noting Lilibet's recurring question, "Why do I only see mommy when cameras are around?" This evidence reportedly changed the mood in both courtrooms, shifting from abstract legal arguments to the harsh emotional reality of 2 kids trapped in a circus of power and fame. Although her lawyers argued fiercely that royal rules hold no weight in U.S. law, that she was tricked into signing custody waivers, and that Harry was too tied to the firm to stay neutral, their momentum was fading. The marital agreement, verified and signed by Queen Elizabeth's private secretary plus 2 Foreign Office officials, was rock solid. Meghan's side couldn't deny she sat in on 3 of the 4 drafting sessions and even proposed changes. A California official allegedly remarked that if this was coercion, it was highly organized and thoroughly litigated by her own attorneys. As the courts readied their judgments, rumors in Windsor hinted a final verdict was imminent. Sources predict the probable result involves dual sovereign guardianship. Harry keeps partial legal rights, but delegates custodial authority to a crown-appointed guardian, likely Duchess, Sophie, or possibly Catherine. Meghan's legal influence over the children could be paused indefinitely, awaiting a deeper look at her behavior, travel records, and finances. The royal family released a 1-sentence statement: "The custody matter regarding the minor heirs of Henry Charles Albert David Windsor has been resolved via sovereign and international legal collaboration. No further comments will be made." Yet, those words hid a ruling that would echo through courtrooms, the press, and history books. Following a month of intensifying legal battles, global filings, confidential testimonies, and institutional interference, both London's High Court and the Santa Barbara Superior Court issued synchronized verdicts hours apart. These rulings essentially stripped Meghan Markle of legal authority over her kids and shut down the Montecito saga, the last chapter of the Sussex experiment. Judge Everett Miles in California stated, "Considering the cross-border stipulations and sovereign framework both parties accepted in 2020, this court validates the Crown-appointed guardianship arrangement as binding within U.S. borders." In London, Justice Rowena Blackstone stated, "Pursuant to the Royal Minor Protections Act, and given the proven risks to the minor's privacy, the palace is assuming immediate guardianship duties alongside the biological dad, Prince Harry. The mother, Meghan Markle, is effectively stripped of her unilateral parenting rights for a 5-year term contingent on mental health evaluations and adherence to rules. The outcome is a shared custody deal between Prince Harry and the monarchy, designating Princess Catherine as the primary authority on schooling and home life, while Duchess Sophie of Edinburgh handles all public matters. Meghan's visitation rights were slashed to a single monitored video chat weekly, facilitated by welfare caseworkers. She gets face-to-face time just once every 3 months at a neutral spot in the UK, strictly off royal grounds, with zero legal power to sign them up for school, approve TV spots, or dictate their travel plans. The judge pointed to exploitation for profit and a habitual refusal to follow custody guidelines as the main reasons. In a related ruling, the Court of Royal Titles and Privileges, an advisory board that hardly ever meets since 1831, declared that Meghan Markle is banned for life from attaching any Windsor-linked names to business, charity, or political work, covering every variation of the Duchess of Sussex title, the Royal Foundation branding, and any merchandise, ad campaigns, or books that mention her kids' royal status without getting the green light from the palace. On top of that, the Charities Commission in the UK wrapped up its probe into the Archewell Foundation, ordering it to be legally shut down because of shady financials, questionable foreign lobbying ties, and abuse of the brand. Archewell's final ledger, showing $1.7 billion in free assets, will be split between 2 vetted kids' welfare nonprofits picked by Princess Anne. Prince Harry was seen quietly slipping out of a private terminal at Heathrow. No film crews, no squad, just a black coat, a simple duffel bag, and a tiny Paddington bear. He wasn't flying back to Montecito, but heading for Wolverton Cottage, the new temporary home for Archie and Lilibet. Staffers say he spent the afternoon with Princess Anne going over the kids' schooling for 2026 and 2027, and with Lady Louise Windsor, who showed him a highlight reel of Lilibet's stay at the Sandringham Royal Youth Retreat. For the first time since Megxit, Harry stayed on royal property without any tension, fighting, or drama. One aide called it a reckoning he finally accepted, rather than a homecoming. Back in California, Meghan Markle was nowhere to be found. Her last sighting at a Brentwood coffee shop was characterized by witnesses as looking exhausted, spaced out, and aloof. Her production deal with Netflix had been formally scrapped. Her Spotify contract was voided because she didn't produce enough content. Her fashion deal with Dior was silently ended. Paris Fashion Week gave her guest spot to Lady Louise to promote resilience and royalty. An internal memo leaked from her PR firm painted a bleak picture. "We can't fix this image," while lawsuits, official, bans, and losing custody are the main headlines. "We have to disappear." And she did. Every social media account went dark. Her website turned into a static "thanks for stopping by" screen. No interviews scheduled, no appeals lodged in court. For the first time in ages, Meghan Markle wasn't trending online. She just vanished. Princess Anne issued the last official word in a statement from Sandringham. "The case is closed. The children are secure. The future is protected by values, not muscle. We don't delete history. We safeguard it. We don't strike back. We heal. Let this silence work for the good of those who need peace the most. That night, Catherine was snapped at a hospice for kids, leaving a handwritten card next to a stuffed bear. It said, "For every child who felt observed, may they now feel recognized with love, not tactics." The House of Windsor, rattled but intact, had reaffirmed its main doctrine: obligation over theatrics, safety over sales, and history over ego. Meghan Markle's name might not disappear completely, but her narrative within the institution had hit a dead end. There won't be a redemption tour, no Netflix comeback, and no Duchess reboot. As for Prince Harry, his last chapter isn't written yet, but this time it won't be on film,